Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a Monday live stream. We are getting.
Hold on.
Oh,
Our camera's not working.
our camera's not working. Okay. Well, if you can hear me, I imagine you can hear me.
Is the camera set up properly?
Yeah, the camera's set up. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure Penny hasn't unplugged it. She's been jumping all over the place here. There we go. Did that work?
It's probably this end.
Okay. It's like, it's what's that hurry up and wait thing? So everybody can hear me, we just can't see me. Well, that's fine. Okay. I will start talking then while Mr. InStitches gets the camera set up. First of all, hi everybody. Welcome to a Monday live stream. Secondly, thank you to Tasha and Nico for getting all the excitement going here right off the bat. Nico gifted a membership. Thank you, Nico. And Linda won it. There's another cha-ching. Susie just picked up a pattern. Tasha just picked up a pattern. Thank you guys so much. We are going to make a basket today with kind of a twist. Mr. InStitches is fiddling with the camera, so don't worry about it. You're not going to miss anything. I'm just going to chit-chat while he fiddles and messes around with the camera. Have no idea why it's not working. It tends to do this to us sometimes, but long story short, I've got a story to tell you. So while Mr. InStitches is busy fiddling with the camera, I'm going to go into story time. In the chat before we got going, Tammy mentioned that she had a snake in her house yesterday, which is just terrifying. It's upside down, Mr. InStitches. We've got a camera, but it's upside down. So on with the story. Tammy mentioned that she had a snake in her house, and I said that is truly terrifying, but I think it must have been the full moon because we had something wild enter our house as well. Picture it. You're fast asleep next to your spouse and your dog, possibly your cat, and your dog wakes up and starts to make funny little bark noises. It's a bit of a breezy night. The curtains are rustling because we have the windows open, and I say, shh, Penny, go back to sleep. It's just the curtains making noise. And she continues. She persists. She continues to make little uffy noises. Well, our dog can't get on or off the bed because it's a tall bed and we don't have a step stool or anything for her. We pick her up and put her on the bed. We take her off the bed. This way we can control whether or not she gets up on the bed. And so she's sitting at the end of the bed, looking in the direction of the out of the room, and she's uffing, and she starts to make these little growly noises, and she's barking, and she does this sometimes. And I keep saying, Penny, quiet, go back to sleep. It's just the curtains. It's nothing. And finally, she just barks, like full on. I'm not messing around anymore. I'm barking. And this is the weirdest behavior. Well, by now, Mr. InStitches is awake and he's annoyed because he likes to get his sleep. He doesn't like to be awakened up. He gets up. He's like, fine, you know what? I'll show you. There's nothing going on. Walks out of the room, walks into the kitchen. And a minute later, I hear, hey, Jayda, you want to laugh? Come here and see this. And I go, oh, no. So I get up. I leave the bedroom. The dog is still on the bed. She's really losing her mind at this point because she realizes that something's up. She's been proven right. I go into the kitchen. The mister has turned on the light over the kitchen sink. And wouldn't you know, on the screen, between the screen and the inside of our window, our glass, is the ass end, pardon my French, of a rather large raccoon just hanging out. And the more we make noise and turn on lights, the more it keeps trying to crawl upwards. Well, it can't leave because we have one of those sort of windows that opens out like cantilevers from it tilts from the top out. It's nice if it rains, right? So this poor little raccoon is stuffed up against the top sealed part where the window meets the house and is clinging to the screen. So I foolishly grab my camera to get a picture of this because I'm like, well, I got to get a picture of this like before whatever is going to happen happens. And as I'm taking the photo, you know those photos, moments before disaster, I notice that the screen is starting to come out. And as I say, oh no, the screen's starting to, it comes crashing into the kitchen, into the sink, huge screen and raccoons, knocking all of my glass vases and my little porcelain things that I have on my windowsill into the sink, onto the counter, all the plates and knives that haven't been washed yet, smashing onto the floor. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. Penny is losing her poor little mind. And this little raccoon was so cute. It literally lands in the sink with a plop on top of the screen. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And just like crawled out the window immediately. Didn't throw a fit. Didn't freak out. Just left. Luckily, it didn't damage the screen, but that was 4 in the morning and that was it. I was up. So we brought the dog off the bed, made sure there was no glass or anything on the floor, and started cleaning up. And I completely disinfected like pretty much the whole room for 3 hours because, you know, I love raccoons, but they do climb in and out of people's trash cans. Ew, I don't want that in my sink or all over my counter. And I'm very happy to say that all of the glass things that smashed into the sink were fine. The only thing we lost was a little sort of porcelain character, a little kind of porcelain cow. Its feet broke off. But other than that, there really wasn't any damage. So the moral of the story is I've got to remember, if I'm the last one going to bed, to close the kitchen window because the little farts can climb up there without too much trouble. So that was the excitement of this week. And we were catching up on sleep last night. Yes, very eventful. So with that little story out of the way, I see Mr. InStitches has got our film here working again. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a nice mise-en-scène going for you guys. It looks like the camera's upside or right side up as opposed to upside down. I've got my coffee, my little coaster. Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. What a crazy night that was. Yes, very eventful. Anywho, let's get on with it. So today we're going to make a basket because who doesn't need another basket? I certainly do. And we're going to use our discontinued yarns. And I thought this was going to be a real fun little project. Mr. InStitches and I have been throwing around different ideas to use up some of the yarns that we have. And as luck would have it, I was just chit-chatting with Maria before we went live today. She was asking for substitutions for a particular yarn. And it got me thinking about how we buy yarn. Sometimes we buy enough or just more than enough for a project and we have leftovers. Sometimes we see a ball of yarn that we think is really pretty and we buy a few and we put them away. And often by the time we get around to making the project, either the yarn line itself has been discontinued, so you can't get more, or even the colorway has been discontinued and you can't get more. So a lot of these balls of yarn end up sitting on the shelf. They don't necessarily have a project in mind. They don't really have any plans. But today I wanted to use them to make a basket. So whatever discontinued yarns you might have, fiber doesn't matter. Weight category doesn't matter. You can use whatever hook you find is comfortable enough to get a nice snug tight stitch so that you have a nice firm fabric. We're going to make a nice medium-sized basket, and I encourage you to pull out the yarns that maybe you wouldn't necessarily use. Like I've got a fluffy, this is a definite size 6. I think this was a Light and Lofty by Red Heart from ages back. I don't think they make it anymore. They certainly don't make this colorway. So I've got a big ball of that, and I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got some Lion brand Summer Nights. I think they've discontinued this, and I really like it, and I have a lot of it, and it's very, very skinny. So I'm going to just include it because it's got a little bit of shimmer that runs through it, and I think that'd be fun. And I have 3 other balls that are size 4 or 5. I don't really know. I don't have the labels anymore, and they're variegated. So my rules for basket making are the weirder the colors together, the better the outcome of the basket frequently, because somehow combining a bunch of colors together just looks really neat. So I recommend at least 3 strands if you can handle it, regardless of the fiber content or weight category held together. And if most of your strands are on the thinner side, like if you've got 1s, 2s, and 3 categories, hold more. You want it to be nice and thick. I'm going to try and use it maybe 4 because this size 1 category is so thin, I almost don't even consider it a yarn in this context. So I'm going to be using this fluffy red yarn, my Summer Nights shimmery one alongside it, and you can see like I won't even notice it. It's so small, so I'm going to hold it alongside it, and then I'm going to pick probably this one because this is a real 80s kind of colorway, I feel, and it's sort of on the size 3 side, and this one because it's kind of dark. I don't know what else to do with it, and I'm going to hold them together. I'm going to make a trial run of a few stitches with a size L 8mm hook, and if I feel like it's not strong enough or it's not sort of sturdy enough, I'm going to use this other ball of yarn as well. So instead of like what I would say maybe 3.5, I'll be using 4.5. And I say half because the size 1 yarn is so thin and you almost don't even see it. So I'm just gonna, this is just a sampler. This is to decide if you like the size and the strength of your stitches. So I just chain like 4 or 5 and single crochet all the way back. I see how difficult it is to do with the strands I'm holding. I see how sturdy it is. And if I decide, okay, so that's nice with the 8, look at that right away. It's mostly that fluffy red that shows up. That on its own is going to be a really pretty basket because that red is the thing that stands out the most. I think I'm going to go with the 9mm, also known as the M or the N, depending on your manufacturer. I'm going to use this one, and I am going to sub in this extra ball of yarn. So I'm going to use altogether 5 balls of yarn. They're all completely different colors. And I'm going to use my 9mm. Haha, that sounds funny. I'm going to use my 9mm. And I'm going to start a basket. I'm going to be using a cinch circle to begin. We just did a video on substitutions for a cinch circle. So because this is a real scrap project, you do not have to use the cinch circle if you don't want to. You can use one of the stand-ins in that video, and I'll make sure that video is linked in the description box down below in case you want to use a substitute for a cinch circle. I like cinch circles because you don't typically end up with any space in the middle, and this is going to be the middle bottom of the basket. But because we're handling so many strands of yarn and a bigger hook, you might find doing the regular old cinch circle a bit cumbersome. So I recommend using a substitute if you're not comfortable with that. I'm going to have a little sip of my coffee. And here we go. What have I missed? I feel like I may have missed something. I'm going to zip backwards in time. Mr. InStitches has sent 5 gifted memberships. Congratulations to Annie, Fairy Crochet Mama Christy, that's so cute, Joanna's Animal Sanctuary, Country Darlin', and Michelle. Welcome and welcome back to the family, and he did it again. Another 5 memberships. Mr. is in a very sweet mood today. Congratulations to Celeste, Jessica, Old Lady Shops a Lot, that's so cute, Beth, and Cooley. Welcome and welcome back. And I got one from Nico. She did it right at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so thank you again to Nico. And thank you, Mr. InStitches. Here we go, my darlings. Take all of your strands of yarn, no matter how crazy, no matter what the white fiber content, doesn't matter. Hold them all together. You're going to treat them as a single strand throughout. You're going to make a cinch circle. And like I said, if you don't want to use a cinch circle, no problem. You can use one of the substitutes I mentioned in that video. I'll make sure that's linked in the description box down below, or you can just use whatever you're comfortable using at the current time. I'm going to make sure that I do not tangle up my yarns. This will be one of the trickiest parts right here. And so if you can get past this, you'll be just super fine. We are going to start with 8 single crochet into the cinch circle. Make sure you work over the short tails of your yarns. If you drop a yarn while you're making a stitch, don't panic, just pick it up and keep going. You don't have to take your yarn out or your stitches. It's not going to come out or unravel on you, so don't worry about it. And every so often, just gently pull on all of those balls of yarn to give yourself some slack. They're going to tangle a little bit, so you can always just sort of take a moment to, you know, untangle it. Just try to keep the whole kind of mess. You can put them in different bowls. That helps keep them from wanting to roll around on you. I just keep them all on my table, and I just gently pull on them as I need them. And let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. I need 3 more. Gonna pull on that tail just a smidgen. So, cinch circle, 8 single crochet into the circle, worked over top of the short tail. And I think that makes number 8 right there. Every so often you're going to see me just sort of smooth back the yarns, and that will kind of help keep tension. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. Great. I'm grabbing my short tails. I'm cinching the whole thing shut, and I'm going to work over top of those short tails as we go. Now, you might find it helpful to have a stitch marker. And keep it on the first stitch of each row as we go forward. That's so you don't have to count, because we're going to increase in every row for the first 7 rows. We don't want to lose track of where we are. Having said that, if your stitch count gets a little bit hairy, maybe you've lost some stitches, you've got a few too many, don't worry about it. This is the kind of project where the stitch count, you have a stitch number to aim for, you've got a row count to aim for, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. What matters is strength. So you want to keep your stitches nice and snug and tight. And here we go. We're going to work 2 single crochet into each of those stitches all the way around for row 2. So what I like to do to begin every row is I work my first 2 stitches into that first stitch. 1, 2. I mark the first of those 2 stitches with my stitch marker, so I know that's the first stitch of row 2, and then I can just relax and focus on finding the stitches and working 2 single crochet into each one of them as I go. And I want to, you know, take my time. I want to make sure that my yarn doesn't bulge out too much on me. This is why I keep kind of pausing, giving myself a little bit of slack. And I'm making sure as I go to keep a nice tight tension. So this isn't the kind of project that you will necessarily fly through, but that said, the more yarn you put into it, the thicker the yarn you use, the faster this basket is going to come together on you, because it's just bigger things grow quicker. So I'm just going to keep pausing every so often to make sure my yarn doesn't want to knot. This is like a little bit of a mini rat's nest here, but it will disappear. 2 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for row 1. I already like how this is looking. The big red thick yarn, the fluffy yarn, seems to be the over, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of it's got the most to say in this project. I'm going to keep my yarn from knotting up. This little guy is not a problem. Okay, there we go. 2 more. So this is rows 1 and 2 already nearly complete. Again, I'm making sure I hold all those strands together. If you drop a strand, I just dropped the little one, doesn't matter. Just make sure you pick it up and keep going. It's not going to unravel. The project isn't going to fall apart. Just make sure that you grab it and keep going. And you won't even notice like the little carry, I guess. It's kind of a miniature carry. All right, I'm going to pull out some more of my yarn. And no knots. I'm not putting up with any knots today. There we go. Done. Great. Okay, so that's row 2. You will have 16 stitches at the end of row 2. 16 stitches because we began with 8. We doubled up for row 2. And now we are back up to 16 stitches. In row 3, we are going to continue to increase 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around. So you do 8 increases. There will always be 8 increases in the row. And that will bring us up to 24 single crochet at the end of row 3. So here we go. First stitch of the row. We are not joining rows with a slip stitch. We are just continuing to single crochet in each stitch all the way around because this basket is built in the round. I work my first 2 stitches of the row. I mark the first one with my single crochet so I don't have to count. I can just focus on the increase pattern. 2 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the stitch after that, making sure that I don't try to keep all of those strands together because they are all one strand of yarn technically as far as this project is concerned. And like I said, if you drop one for whatever reason, don't worry, just pick it up and keep going. 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around for row 3. That'll bring us up to 24 stitches altogether. And I'm going to take a moment to kind of cast my eyes over to the live chat while I'm sort of pulling out my yarn, trying to keep everything from tangling. So far, not so bad. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining, and I hope you have a chance to make one of these discontinued yarn baskets yourselves. What a great way to use up yarn. I mean, it's already a great scrap project, but you know, if you don't know what to do with those discontinued yarns, I guarantee it doesn't matter what you mix it with, what colors you mix together, what weight categories, it's going to turn out looking really pretty. It's like some kind of magic. And I do not want this to, so if it looks like a knot, chances are it's just the yarn kind of tangling up on its own. It's not actually tied, it's just sort of spinning itself into a little bit of a pretend knot. So I like to just gently pull on all the directions until I have something kind of move, and then I go, oh, there it is. So this is the culprit, this little Jayda pauses to undo. This is when you are dealing with super thin yarn or super like size 1 crochet thread or sock weight yarn. This, I feel like this tends to want to happen more frequently. It's so skinny, it wants to just knot up, no problem. There we go. There, all done. Okay, back to it. Now let's see. That was 1, 2, 1. So I'm back to 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet. I'll pause every so often. Sometimes I poke my extra loops back through and they don't show it all, says Auntie. Yes, if you end up with like a pulled up loop, or you know, you skipped, you dropped a strand for a second, you can definitely sort of stuff them into the body of the work. You can even pull up on it and single crochet over top of it if it's really, really loose. In a project like this, it doesn't matter. We have our basket patterns linked in the description box down below. So 5 of our basket patterns, we have a lot of baskets, but our 5 main super useful basket patterns that would all work nicely with this style of using discontinued yarns. They're all linked to the tutorials in the description box down below, and they're also on sale in our Etsy shop. So if you haven't picked up a basket pattern, would like a basket pattern, etc., you will find them in the description box. And patterns are on sale this week for today and tomorrow. So big thank you to everybody who's picked up a pattern. And yeah, they're on sale. Sneaky sale. If you're here, you're in the know. All right, that makes the end of row 3, 24 stitches. Let's just pause and take a look at what's happening here. I think that is gorgeous. This is so crazy. So if you look at the main balls that are all together, nobody in their right mind would think that that looks nice. I would never combine those for any other project. They're so bizarre. And then add that into the mix. It's crazy. But somehow it becomes that. I just love it. It's the magic of crochet. A little sip of coffee. All right. Here we go, row 4. Row 4, we are continuing to increase. We're going to go from 24 stitches at the end of row 3 to 32 stitches at the end of row 4. We still have 8 increases, but the pattern now is 2 single crochet, 1, 1, 2 single crochet, 1, 1, 2 single crochet, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, all the way around. I'm going to do the same thing. So we're not joining rows, we're just continuing to single crochet into the first stitch. We are working in the round. 2 single crochet to start. I'm marking my first stitch, and then it's a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, all the way around. I'm going to just pause every so often to make sure that I've got an appropriate amount of slack on all of my yarns, and then I smooth them down as I go. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, all single crochet. I've decided that my 9mm hook gives me the nicest tension for my single crochet stitch, considering the yarns I have chosen for this. So I can kind of bend it and it stays where I put it. That tells me that I've got a nice tension, a nice stiffness in my yarn. And it's not a super big basket, so the sides will stand up on their own. It's going to look really nice. You can always use a new basket. And if you have discontinued yarns, discontinued like a line of yarn or a colorway, and you don't know what else to do with it, turn it into a basket. Baskets, homemade baskets also make really nice gift baskets or gift bags. If you don't know, like if you're running out of things to like wrap stuff in, or you don't like wrapping, but you've got lots of yarn and you like to crochet, make a bunch of these baskets. Not only do they make pretty containers for gifts, but they're useful. Crocus is wondering if I'm going to make a lid for this. No, I am not. This is going to be a lidded, this is going to be an unlidded basket. Haha, unlidded. That sounds funny. It's going to have handles because it's going to be a sturdy basket that I want to be able to sort of yank around, pull off a shelf if necessary. So I'm going to put handles on it. And it's not going to be as big as the Great Big Beautiful Basket. It's going to be kind of a medium size. 211, 211. Row 4, zipping along. When you don't have to untangle knots, you can move a lot faster. And frankly, if your yarn does knot up, don't cut it out. Just crochet right over top of it, because it will not matter in a project like this. There we go. End of row 4. That is 32 stitches all the way around, because we have a base of 8. And we're making 8 increases, 8 even increases in each row. That's row 4, 32 stitches. Row 5, we're going to continue to increase. The new pattern is 2 single crochet in the first stitch. I'm also going to go back in.
Or a rug as well?
Yes, this would work as a rug. If you're going to walk on the rug, I would recommend that you use sturdier, stiffer yarns like your wools, nylons, polyesters, things that have a little more strength to them, and then combined they'll be a lot stronger. Acrylic, just plain acrylic, tends to get walked through. I don't know if you've ever made acrylic socks. You wear through them really quickly. A rug is the same. If it's a rug that's going to be in an area that doesn't get walked on much, like it's going to sit underneath a piece of furniture or something, use whatever you like. And if you go to wash it, that's the nice thing about homemade rugs, you can totally wash them. Cool water, I recommend a gentle cycle in the washing machine or hand wash if it's not huge, and then hang flat to dry. Lay flat to dry or hang to dry. Don't put it in the machine because the dryer will make it look pilly and gross, and it might shrink it, especially if you've mixed your fibers together. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. We are on row 5. There are 8 even increases in row 5, but they are separated by 3 single crochet. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. I'm using my stitch marker, so I don't really have to count my stitches. I just have to focus on that little increasing pattern. 2, 1, 1, 1. And then we'll be up to 40 stitches at the end of row 5. There's 2, 1, 1, 1. And like I said, your actual stitch count for this pattern doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Mix your fibers, mix your weight categories. Don't worry too much about the stitch count. I worry about the stitch count so that at least I know that I've made it and you can see it being made with the right stitch count. But if I was just zipping through this on my own, I probably wouldn't even count. I don't really care. If you miss a stitch, add extra stitches, don't worry about it. The stitch count doesn't matter. You're interested in it being a firm basket. You're interested in it being round. That's basically it. Oops, I've just had a ball fling itself off the table. I'm going to go grab that. Let me do that 3rd stitch first. I don't want it on the floor, only because I don't want my puppy to come in here and think that it's a toy. All right, there we go. Sip of my coffee. Nico's wondering, is that red yarn a Halloween yarn? Boo, Clay. Ha ha ha. No, this I'm pretty sure was a Light and Lofty, which they don't make anymore, and it's too bad because I really like it. I like the super bulky, fluffy yarns that have strength to them. So one of the reasons I like this is because it's fluffy, but it's got a really strong thread that has twisted all the way around it to A, create that texture, but to give it strength. So it's a really fun yarn. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 3. Boo, Clay. I almost did a Halloween project today because my brain is firmly glued to Halloween at this point. I absolutely love Halloween. I love decorating for Halloween. I love crocheting for Halloween. I love crocheting costumes. Costumes are so much fun. And I always like to give away, especially nowadays, because I like to make stuff all year round. And I don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters. I make things for the trick-or-treat stash. So I do give out some candy, but I give out toys too. So if so there's usually a choice. Hey, would you like this? Would you like a baggie full of snacks, or would you like a little stuffed toy? And most of the time, the toys win. So I have a Halloween make-ahead stash, which I've introduced you guys to before. And that's been slowly growing over the summer. And I'm still thinking about things I want to add to it. I probably have more than I need at this point because we just don't have that many kids coming around. But whoever does come this year is going to get a rather large offering. All right, I'm nearing the end of row 5. Once again, row 5 was 2 single crochet into the first stitch of the set, single crochet into each of the next 3. This is my last little set of increases, my 8th increase, which is 2 single crochet in the same stitch, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 3. That brings me up to 40 stitches, and I've got 2 more rows to go of increase. So here we go. Might be a little bit longer today, but who cares? We're all hanging out, and it's nice to have a solid project done in one sitting. We did get a little bit of a slow start because we had some camera issues, and I was in the middle of story time. I do like telling a good story. But here we go. Crocus says it's not even October yet and Thanksgiving is first. Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, Halloween starts for me in the beginning of September. I decorate for Thanksgiving, but it always has a bit of a Halloween vibe to it. Like a lot of my Thanksgiving things stay up because, you know, it's pumpkins and sunflowers and maybe scarecrows and whatnot, but that all kind of just sort of blends into Halloween for me. All right, row 6, 2 single crochet to begin the row. We are still increasing. There's my little stitch marker to indicate that's the first stitch of the row. And the rest of the increase pattern is 2 single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into each of the next 4, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. And that increase pattern brings us up to 48 stitches at the end of row 6. So stitch marker is back in position. I don't have to count. I just have to worry about the individual little increase pattern. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch of the set, followed by 1. If you drop some yarns, don't worry, just pick them up and keep on going. That's 2, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And this is how we grow a circle. I like Halloween year-round too. I mean, I also like Christmas stuff year-round. I have elements of all these things up all the time in my house, mostly because if I really like something, I don't put it away. I like to change my decor with the season, but there are just some sweet little things that I always have out. Like I have a pair of I like salt and pepper shakers. I have a collection of salt and pepper shakers, which are just like they span every possible genre and theme you can think of. And my sister-in-law gave me a pair when we got married, and it's a couple of skeletons, like they're a bride and groom skeleton. I love them. Very Halloween-y, but I have them out all the time. I also have a beautiful pair of sterling silver witch hats, which are just too great to put away. But then I also have a Mr. and Mrs. Claus, which are just so darling. I have them out all the time too. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Catherine says the only problem she has with these baskets is that over time they can get kind of floppy. If that happens, Catherine, throw it in the washing machine and throw it in the dryer. So this is the one time I'll say, okay, put it in the dryer. Put it on not hot, but like a medium heat, and everything will shrink back down. So use the dryer and its damage to your crochet to your use it to your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your convenience. Use it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage on occasion. So if things start to get really, if it gets really, really like it really stretches out on it, washing it and putting it in the dryer will shrink it back down. And probably by that point, if it pills up a little bit or felts, it doesn't really matter. And it might actually add to the overall look of the basket. Advantage. Yes. Thanks, Amanda. Walmart in Missouri is already clearancing Halloween stuff. See, that's just, okay, I don't like that. That drives me crazy. Stop fast forwarding me through the year that much, you know. I'm seeing back to school stuff is kind of starting to be on clearance now, and the Halloween candy just arrived. Which I don't like the Halloween candy coming out too soon because it's just way too tempting to buy a box of those little snack-sized treats and have them around, and then they disappear, and then you got to go back and get more. And yeah, this is how bad teeth come around. But you know, I like all the other stuff. I like that. Like for example, I feel like the costumes come out and are just, they disappear just as quickly. Yeah, see, Joanna's got a couple of cute snowman Christmas decorations out all year. I mean, snowmen are so cute. Summer says they're just starting to get Halloween stuff at their Walmart. Yeah, it's funny how they're all a little bit different. Ending row 5. No, this is row 6. 2 single crochet into the next stitch. This is my 8th increase. A single crochet into each remaining 4 stitches in row 6. I should be up to 48 stitches. And I know I am because 8 times 6 is 48. And now I've got one more row of increase to do, row 7. I'm just going to make sure I've got some slack here. So you might notice that as you work, your bottom is kind of scrunching up on you. That's okay. That means it's stiff, but it will also flatten out. If it's bowling on you, that's okay. If it's rippling on you, that's okay. It will flatten out with use. I really love this. I love this. I just love how this looks. New favorite basket, and I haven't even got it finished yet. All right, I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack. All right. I find it helps, if you can find it, to pull your yarn from the inside of the skein when you're using multiple balls like this. This one I hand rolled, so it's unwinding from the outside. It's the only one that wants to bounce around on me. The rest of them typically stay where I put them, which is nice. Kind of helps with keeps the chaos of the yarn from becoming too problematic. Row 7, final row of increasing. Here we go. 2 single crochet to begin the row. That's my first increase of the row. There we go. That's the first stitch of the row. 2 single crochet in the first stitch, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. We'll be up to 56 stitches. That is the final and full stitch count for this project. You will never have more than 56 stitches after this, unless you accidentally add a few. And like I've said, that's okay. Exact stitch count, not important for this project. Nico, our gifting ninja, has gifted another membership. Thank you, Nico. And congratulations to Deanna, who has won it. Welcome back to the family, Deanna. Thank you, Nico. 2 single crochet into the next stitch, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 5. And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure that I don't wind up with any crazy knots. There we go. Especially with this super fine stuff. So that was 2. And then 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. next 5. 1 in each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And like I said, if you drop a strand of yarn, just pick it up and keep going. Don't worry about it. If you miscount and end up with 1 or 2 or 10 extra stitches, or 1 or 2 or 10 fewer stitches, don't worry about it. You're going for something that is round. Something that is round. Let me see here. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2. Am I trying to put 2 in the same? Yes. Don't sweat the stitch count. Pause every so often, make sure I've got some slack. This one wants to knot a little bit. There we go. I kind of like these multi-strand projects. They require you to slow down a little bit, which is something sometimes I need to remember to do. But they're also just such a great way to use up, like when you crochet or knit long enough, you do end up with quite a lot of random balls of yarn, and you're just not necessarily sure what to do with them all. And this is just such a nice way to clean up the stash. You know, I don't like to shuffle the same balls of yarn from one end of the stash to the next for years on end. I want to be able to use the stuff up, you know, and if you've got an extra ball, or maybe you inherited them, you know, people will give you yarn if they go, oh, you crochet, you knit here, you know. You end up with these sort of random balls of yarn, and like I say, if they're discontinued, you can't even really use them for a specific project that may or may not require more yarn, because you can't really get it. Not without, you know, digging through the internet. So projects like this, great way to clean up the stash. I am truly sick and tired of staring at these 3 balls of yarn on my shelf. Individually, they're okay, but I can't really think of anything to do with them. I'm not quite sure of the fiber content. So they're going into a basket, and what a pretty basket it's becoming. Summer! Summer's been a member for 76 months. Thank you so much, Summer. Summer says, my house is nerdy Halloween year round, and I double down September and October. Then November, New Year is Christmas thrown on top. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I really like, I love all the banner events. Anything that lets me, you know, anything that allows for absolutely over the top decorating is a-okay with me. All right, I'm gonna pull out some more yarn. This is really trying to knot up on me, but I will not let it. Oh no, you don't. There we go. Good, okay. So I am halfway around row 7. Row 7 is the last row of increase. And then it's just, I'm gonna do a row of post stitches so that I can kind of create a bit of a flat bottom for this basket. If you don't want to deal with that, you don't have to. Again, I'm going to make this project, this particular basket, as user-friendly as possible. So if you just cannot stomach the idea of doing post work with multi crazy, you know, fluffy balls of yarn, then you don't have to. You can just go straight into single crochet in each stitch all the way around straight for several rows. And it will just be more of a bowl and less of a flat-bottomed basket. Not a big deal, it'll still work. I just like the post work because I like to establish a flat bottom. It gives it a little bit more structure, and I feel it gives the walls of the basket a little more strength. If you're wondering what hook I'm using the 9mm, also known as the M or the N. But I recommend using the hook that makes your tension the right tightness with the yarns you've chosen. So that might be the 8mm, it could be a 10mm, it might be something even smaller. So don't fuss even the hook you want to use. Use the one that suits your tension the best. for this project, I found the 9 works best for me. So I'm going to avoid more knots over here. There we go. Boy, that one really wants to knot up. Again, all these yarns have been sitting, getting shuffled around. It's time to use them up. It's time to use them up, turn them into something useful and pretty. This one really wants to knot up, and this one really wants to knot up. I have 2 misbehaving balls of yarn. All right. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I've got 2 more increases left to go in this particular row. And then I'm just not going to worry about stitch count at all. I'm just going to work a single crochet in every stitch all the way around for like 11 rows or so. But again, you can work the straight part of the basket, so single crochet in every stitch all the way around for as many rows as you want. The more rows you add, the taller your basket. The fewer rows you add, the shorter your basket. Height doesn't matter. In fact, if you've got something in mind, like, oh, I've got this one awkward shelving unit, you know, but I want to be able to keep stuff in, make it to fit that shelf. If you've got like an idea in mind, oh, I just need a short little sort of basket next to the front hall so I can throw my keys and sunglasses and stuff in it, you can make it shorter. If you want something much taller, you can make it taller. So again, flexibility. All right, I've got 1 more increase left to go here. I'm pretty sure I haven't miscounted. Single crochet in each of the remaining 5 stitches. I am not negotiating with yarn today. No negotiating with the yarn knots. If it knots up and it's bad, I might just pull it right in and crochet over top of it. I don't care. All right. Hello, Lala. Lala's in the house with a membership milestone. Lala has been a member for 72 months. Thank you, Lala. Says, blanket hellos, y'all. Can't stay. We'll watch the replay later. Thank you for popping in, Lala. I know it's busy. We're all busy. We've all got different schedules. But we leave our live streams up. So if you can't make it for the whole thing, then don't worry. You can all come back later and watch it. And I do try to put chapters in. So if it's a kind of project where there should be a chapter, for example, there's rows, row counts, I'll add chapters for the individual rows. So if you want to come back and you want to jump to a particular row or something, I'll have chapters available for you. And that's the benefit of watching the replay. Also, you know that we have a sneaky sale on. I think Mr. InStitches pinned that. It's some of the most popular basket patterns we have available in our Etsy shop, so they're on sale. I've also linked to the tutorials in the description box down below. I've chosen the 5 patterns that would work best with this particular discontinued yarn theory. I'm making a special basket pattern for this discontinued yarn theory, so this is based on all of the measurements and the stitch counts and the rows and everything today. And that pattern will be available later on today in the shop. So if you're interested in that, you can pick that up too. And I thank you from the bottom of my yarny little heart for supporting our show. It keeps us going here. Our crazy little crafty community, just full of enthusiasm and great ideas and lots of support for us and each other. It's another thing I like. You can come back and we do try to get the replay of the live chat to work. It doesn't always. I'm not quite sure why. So we always have it sort of turned on and available, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And I'm never sure if that's because like YouTube is kind of, it's the problem, or if it's trying to, like, I have no idea. So just to let you know, we always try to make that available, and for some reason it doesn't always work, and we don't really know why. And no one's been able to tell us. Okay, another little knot. I refuse. I refuse to have a knot. This one doesn't look too frightening, so I'll pull it out. Boop, done. All right. So that was row 7. That's the end of the increasing. We're up to 56 stitches. That is the most stitches I will have in this entire project. I'm now going to do some post stitches. So if you want to skip this part, you certainly can. Don't worry about if you feel this is too much, just start crocheting in the round. So single crochet in every stitch and just keep going. No more increasing, no decreasing, just keep going. But I do want to make a flat bottom to my basket. So I'm going to crochet around the outside of each post. I'm just going to sort of slip stitch to join this row. So that just kind of evens everything out. And now for my post. Now, if you're not doing a post row, don't slip stitch to join row 7. Don't chain 1 to start row 8. Just keep crocheting in the round. If you do want to add the post, slip stitch to join row 7, chain 1 to start row 8. And then what you're doing is you are going through the next stitch from back to front and the stitch after that from front to back. So you pop the post up on your hook and single crochet around it. The first one is sometimes a little complicated, so just give yourself a moment to do that. Definitely mark the first stitch so you know where it is, and then you do the same thing again. So through the stitch you just went from front to back, you go back to front through like this, and then like that. There's your post, single crochet around it, and you keep doing that all the way around. You'll still have 56 stitches. Takes a little bit of getting used to if you don't do this kind of thing very often, but what it does is it takes the top of the stitch from row 7, pushes it forward, and that will create a nice flat disc base for our basket, and it gives the wall of the basket a foundation to sit on. So that's why I like to do it. But this is a no fuss basket, so if you don't want to do that, don't. Just start crocheting in the round. It'll be more of a bowl, but it'll still be gorgeous. It'll still be useful. But row 8 is the post row. I'm single crocheting around the outside post of each stitch. And I invite you to do it too, while I fight with some more potential knots. Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. Haha, look at this. Look at this mess. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I am pulling on all of the intersections where it looks like it really wants to knot up, and I'm kind of trying to pull it from different directions to give myself a little bit more slack. It's mostly just the yarn looping and tightening around itself. So it's not technically, and then sometimes, look at this. Bunk. It's just like the fluffs knot themselves up. So it's not technically a knot. So I'm not prepared to like cut it or anything, but it does slow me down. But that's another reason I'm using up all this yarn. Getting it out of the stash into a basket. And then this pretty little basket can go to work. It'll either hold other yarn or, I don't know, toys. I might actually use it as part of my fall display, because this color will be nice for the fall. It's got that rich fall kind of quality to it, but it'll also make a nice sort of Christmas basket. So this one's going to sit out for the next few months for sure. So I'm going to keep going, crocheting around the posts. And post work. If you make mistakes or you perceive that you've made a mistake, don't worry about it. Not important for this project. You're still going to have 56 stitches. Aim for 56. If you've got a few more or a few less, don't worry about it. I don't want that to be so loose. Part of using super multiple balls held together at once is this sort of little, you know, fussing that I'm doing where you're trying to keep them all from tangling. It's actually the balls themselves aren't trying to tangle with each other. They're trying to tangle with themselves. So, and there, it's got like that little extra bit of fluff. It tangles itself. There we go. Back to some post stitches. Maria's asking after Mama InStitches. Mama is great. Mama is busy canning tomato sauce. It's that time of year up here. So she's doing her tomato sauce and her peppers right now. So she's a busy girl. I love it when she does sauce because that usually means I get to eat sauce. And I'm sure you all know someone who's a great cook, but sorry, nobody beats my mother-in-law. She's the best.
She has officially finished her sauce.
Oh, she's finished her sauce. Did she just text that?
She did.
Oh, okay. Mama InStitches has officially finished her sauce, which means
Round of applause for everyone.
that means that I will be officially eating sauce in short order. This is the hardest part of the pattern, in my opinion, sort of working on all of the post stitches. And like I said, I recommend you try it. Try it. This is great practice for a method that, you know, you might come into contact with down the road for a project where it's kind of non-negotiable. But this is a great practice. It will give your basket more strength. So I recommend using it. As you can see, it's making a nice thick bottom edge. It creates this nice foundation for the rest of your basket to stand on, and it gives your basket like actual structure on the bottom. So I recommend trying it. I always recommend trying the technique, and I especially recommend practicing the technique when you're sort of doing a project like this where nothing really matters. You know, yeah, there's a stitch count, but you can vary from it. Yeah, there's a row count, but you can vary from it. Sure, there's a recommended number of yarns, but you can vary from it. This is a good project. It'll always work out looking nice, so it doesn't matter what you do or how badly you screw up. There is no screwing up technically in a project like this, so highly recommend. Practice the awkward techniques, because if they look, you know, a little messy or you miss a stitch or something, it doesn't matter. You got in some practice. The practice all counts towards a completed basket, and you'll be a little bit better prepared the next time you encounter the request to do that particular technique. Like in this case, it's the post work. Wow, she got all of her sauce done already?
Yeah.
She's a machine. Like, I just realized what you really said.
I think it was a small batch.
Yeah, she made a small batch.
The full weekend, a week of prep and 3 full days of labor. Those days are over.
Yes, it's true. She's not laying in like 50 jars or anything anymore. Or actually, it was more like 150 jars.
50, more like 300.
Yeah, 300 back in the day.
Maria asks if she grows her own tomatoes and basil.
Yeah, Mama used to grow all her own tomatoes and basil, but she does not do that anymore. Kind of a lot of work. I have been trying to do that. I have been experimenting with various places in the backyard to put a garden for the best possible results, and I have yet to get some tomatoes to grow properly. But I am happy to say that my lavender and my mint are doing beautifully this year. And one squash plant, but it may or may not produce any actual squash, but it looks cute. I love the gardens. I love growing things, and I have not got a green thumb. So for any of you who think to themselves, gosh, you know, I'm not good at that. Well, still try. I try. you know, I'm just happy when something actually, I grew peas a couple years ago, and I guess it was last year, and they did so well, and they were so good, and I was so proud. There we go. Almost finished row 8. So like I said, this is the most difficult row in the whole basket because you're kind of struggling, especially when you're using multiple strands. But if you brace it against your work surface like I'm doing, and you kind of turn off that part of your brain that's the perfectionism that says, oh, it has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be near perfect. Just use up that yarn. Take those discontinued balls of yarn, give them a purpose, and you know what? Every little knot you encounter is just telling you to relax and enjoy the process. Baking Mama 3 says her stepmom was canning yesterday. Lots of tomatoes and homemade pickles. Oh, homemade pickles. Yum. Yum. Yeah, I should think so. Now, what have I just done? Let's not do that. There we go. Somehow, I may have doubled up. That's cute. How did I do that? There we go. If you drop some yarns, just grab them and make your next stitch with them. Don't stress out dropped yarn because it doesn't actually unravel the basket. So this, there we go. Couple more here and I'll be done. Row 8, the most annoying row in the basket, but the one that gives us structure. So I always do it even if it makes me kind of roll my eyes. And I've got one more, and there we go. That is stitch number 56. That brings me back to my stitch marker. There we go. So, gonna pause, give myself a little bit more. I've got some tangling that's trying to happen here, so I'm just sort of slowly pulling what I need as I need it. I don't want to detangle too much because it would mean I have to sort of roll up the balls of yarn. I don't want to bother with that, so I'm just slowly detangling as I go. Not a big deal. As long as I have enough sort of yarn to kind of do the next few stitches, I'll just keep giving myself a little slack and giving myself the next few stitches. So that's row 8 complete. Still at 56 stitches. You're not joining at this point. If you skipped the post roll and you just sort of are crocheting in the round, you still have 56 stitches. And now, so you're not joining with a slip stitch at the end of row 8. You're not joining with a slip stitch at the end of any row from here on out. And now it's back to normal crochet. So there's my first stitch, that's row 9. I'm going to work rows 9 through 20, just working single crochets in each stitch all the way around. Remember, when you get to this point, there's a tendency to want to sort of speed up when you're working on a basket. And it's the speeding up that often makes your stitching looser. So you want to maintain that nice tight stiffness. If it's too problematic to keep it tight, you can go down a hook size at this point. There's nothing saying you can't do that. And if the hook size being smaller helps you keep tighter tension, go ahead and do that. That's a nice little trick. And it won't damage the basket. It won't like throw off the tension or anything like that because you want tight tension. So I'm just gonna give myself a little more slack here. I am so glad to be using up some of these balls of yarn that have just been sitting there staring at me. There we go. Moving from one shelf to another, to another, to another. So single crochet in every stitch all the way around. No more increasing, no decreasing, no post work. It's just regular single crochet. Focus on tight tension so that you have a nice stiff basket edge. And I'm going to try and figure out why I keep coming up with, all right. There we go. So yes, multi-strand work is a little more cumbersome than single strand work, but I love the results, so that makes it worth it for me. This skinny little strand just keeps wanting to kind of bunch up on me and work itself into more stitches than it deserves. So I got to keep pulling it back. There we go. Nico! Oh my gosh, Nico still keeping the party going here. Thank you, Nico. Nico has gifted another membership. Congratulations to Puggy Flower Child. Welcome to the family. Thank you, Nico. I will make a point of making a vicuña and silk members post a little later today. So if you're new to the family or you haven't been to our website lately, the members only website for silk and vicuña members, I'll make sure that the clubhouse information is linked in that posts tab. So look forward to that a little later today. And thank you, Nico. If you're just joining us, we are making a basket using discontinued yarn. And I've got 5 strands going here. None of the thicknesses matter. None of the fiber content matters. What matters is just using up discontinued yarn. I've chosen to use a 9mm hook because it's the best one for the yarn I chose and my particular tension with those strands of yarn. But the idea is to get nice, tight fabric. So whatever hook gets you there is the hook you want to use. I'm getting quite... So 1 second, everybody, while I do a little bit of detangling over here. Most of my yarn is playing nice, but I have a little bit that's acting out. The nice thing about using variegated yarns is that when it does tangle, it's kind of easier to see what needs to go where because the color isn't all the same. So these ones are fine. It's just this one, and the super skinny stuff. I do enjoy, it's funny, I kind of like detangling yarn. I don't find it annoying It is a little bit if I'm in a rush and I want to get, you know, I want to get to the end of a project. But most of the time, if I'm just sort of enjoying myself because I'm crocheting to kind of relax, I don't mind it. I find it kind of a zen thing. There, that's that. And now this one. This one is really grinding my gears. Mostly what I'm trying to do here is to kind of ignore this big bunch up and just sort of eat away at it as I go. But it is starting to try to tangle itself, so I will endeavor to detangle it a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better. I think the trick here is to keep some slack on this so that it just continues to want to move down with the rest of the yarn. There we go. Okay. A few more stitches. So if you can handle the frustration of tiny tangling yarn, then this is a good way to use that up. I just keep shoving this back. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's kind of looped itself around some of my other yarns. It's not really tangling. It's just that some of these yarns are kind of grabby and this one's really smooth. So it keeps kind of trying to grab on and get pulled along. So I have to kind of keep pausing and pulling it down, but it's not technically knotting on me. So I'm just going to keep shoving it down. And then I'm also kind of eating away at it as I go. slowly getting smaller, this little knot, as I pull away at it. It's like using crochet thread. It's so fine. Tracy's wondering what I'm using and the size of the hook. So like I just said, I'm using 5 different strands of yarn, but you can use, I would recommend 3 at the very least. So anything 3 or more, depending on the kind of yarn you want to use. I'm mixing all sorts of weight categories here. I've got 3s, 1s, 5s, I've got a 6. And I found that the best hook with my tension, because I want a nice tight tension, was the 9mm. So you can use that to start, but I recommend doing like a little sampler, like chain 5, single crochet back, and just see how tight it is. If it's loose, you want a smaller hook. If it's tight, too tight to manage, then you want a bigger hook. And you just sort of grab one that feels like it makes the most sense. I've got a little fiber knot happening here. So this fiber, there we go, is what's causing a little knot. So I can pull it apart by breaking the fiber. Basically, when you're dealing with this many strands together and they kind of are moving along with each other, there's going to be a little bit of miniature pilling happening. So don't lose your cool. Just pause as often as you have to and sort of sort things out. You can always, if there's like a little tiny knot, don't worry about it. Just crochet right over top of it. Not a big deal. All right, so that was row 9. Row 9 was the first single crochet in the round, just without any increases. It wasn't a big post stitch. So that is now, I can sort of turn this whole thing around. Still dealing with this funny little knot. It's not really a knot, it's just extra loops of thread or yarn. I kind of keep pulling back down so that it doesn't want to completely make a mess of everything. This right here, this has got to travel.
Jayda, could you do this with cut-up t-shirts?
Yes. Cut-up t-shirts would be, if you want to make t-shirt yarn, t-shirt yarn makes great baskets, and you can mix the t-shirt yarn in with the rest of your discontinued yarns. There are really no rules here. Another reason I really like this project. There are always ways to like keep your yarn from tangling. You can sort of put them all in individual bowls. You can have them on individual spools if you want to work really quickly. But I kind of like these projects for their meditative quality. You know, you're not in a massive rush. You finally have chosen something, a project for all of those discontinued balls of yarn, something that they, you know, can all look good together in. And I'm not in a rush. I just want this to, you know, be kind of an enjoyable project for myself and for you guys too. And eventually this little scrappy, funny little knotting thing will disappear because I'm slowly eating away at it as I crochet. Looks like I did it again. It keeps wanting to sneak its way into the rest of my crochet.
Persistent.
It's very persistent, yes. It's this loop. I can't quite figure out. Just pulling on all of the, whenever you find a knot, you just kind of gently tug at it, and then eventually you see, oh, there we go. There's the little tiny loop up, and you're just pulling very, very gently, and then the whole thing basically unravels. Because usually yarn isn't knotted, it's the loops tightening in on themselves. And if you get frustrated and you pull really tightly, then you can create knots. So the trick is to not get frustrated. Treat yarn detangling as a bit of a Zen session. So that's the one I'm crocheting with. And here is that funny little I'm going to physically detangle the balls of yarn so I can get rid of that odd little loop, and that should speed things along again a little bit. Thank you all for hanging out with me today while I crochet a basket and untangle yarn. I kind of like this. It's like just chill. So there's one ball completely removed from the mess. There's another one. It's kind of like, did anybody ever play the game Pick Up Sticks? I'm kind of obsessed with that game. And it's also probably my age talking, but There's another little, it's not a knot, it's actually fibers that have created a knot. So if you see those, just give them a gentle tug and they'll snap. All right, that's another one done. And we'll do this one next. I may have found the crossroads here. So this is a fiber knot. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm not cutting yarn, I'm cutting fibers. I think you can probably see that it's been sort of riding up and down the edge of my yarn. So if I take it away, that's gone. That will definitely help free things up. Okay, so there's that one free. Today's video is how to make a basket with discontinued yarn and how to detangle yarn without losing your cool. All right, I'm almost there. I've got this one last little, I'm gonna make sure I figure out how far along. So this one I want to pull through here. go. And that's that one free. Okay, so now I just have this little knot, which is the little culprit. I will completely loosen this up, and then I will keep all the other balls of yarn on that side of the table away from this one, and I should be good. And then I can turn the jets on and really crochet fast. Now it's just looped in on itself, so here we go. And that is a fiber knot, not a thread knot. Actually, no, that is a little tiny knot. Needle, there it is. There we go. There's another little fiber knot. Let's get rid of that. There we go. There's an actual knot, but it's small, so I'm going to crochet right over top of it when I get to it. There we go. All right. I've got this little bit of fiber here. There we go. All right. Deborah says round of applause. Thank you. We're almost there, gang. Thank you for hanging out while I do this. It's all part of crafting with yarn. Sometimes you get a little knot, but that is not an excuse to lose your cool. I really, you can also feel very sort of satisfied with yourself after you sort it out. In most of the cases here, it's just like kind of looped in on itself. So if you find a loop, kind of gently pull on it and I'm always pulling from both sides too, the sort of the ball side and then the part that I've been using. And this little guy,
Oh no.
what's the matter?
Well, it looks like we are having trouble with our stream, but I'm watching it here and it looks fine.
No, it looks fine on this end.
Okay, so I'm not going to touch it then.
No.
It's gone completely haywire on the computer.
Well, it's probably watching me detangle this yarn. Even the computer's had it.
The software's absolutely had it with the untangling. Yeah, the live's going fine.
All right. That looks like a there's one done. Holy cow, it's done. Guys, I got it. Woohoo! So for all of you still here, love you, thank you. All right, I'm turning on the jets. Now I'm really going to rip through this. So this is row 10 that I'm on. I am just crocheting rows 10 through 20, just straight. I will, I promise, when this video or this live stream is finished and I put in the chapters, I'll make sure I mark the super detangling of yarn so that you can skip past it if you want to. I mean, unless you want to watch me detangle that again, I enjoy detangling yarn. I feel it's kind of like a Zen thing. But I did it. I didn't have to cut it. I've got one little tiny knot, which I'll probably just like crochet right over top of because who cares? And now I'm going to focus back on crocheting tightly. I'm going to keep the super skinny yarn to the sort of the south end of my desk. I'm going to keep the other regular yarns to the north end of my desk because they don't care to tangle. They're pretty happy on spooling from the inside out. It's just this super tiny size 1 sock weight yarn that wants to sort of create some tension. Once this gets a little bigger, I'll even put a ball of yarn kind of in the middle of it. I often, when I'm working on a larger basket, I crochet with the balls of yarn in the basket itself, which kind of helps keep things under control. But now I can zoom along here. Trying to keep my tension as tight as I can and give myself a little bit of slack on the yarn as I go. Row 10, 56 stitches, no joining of rows, no chaining 1 at the beginning of a row. We're just crocheting in the round. And this is a great way to use up discontinued yarn. Even if it wants to knot on you, don't give up on it. Crocus says, Jayda, you are the winner. I won. I won. Mayla says she found it rather relaxing. I do too. It's kind of also very like, it's very enjoyable to see a knot fall out finally. It's satisfying. I think we lack a significant amount of satisfying imagery. You know, things that are satisfying to watch. If you ever Google that on YouTube, if you look for, you know, video compilations of just people doing extremely satisfying things because they really know what they're doing at their job or whatever, or something just falling into place perfectly, there's a lack of daily, we need a daily dose of just satisfying stuff to look at. I think it's good for our brain. It must release dopamine somehow. So that is one of the quicker rows that I've done so far today. Just giving myself slack on the yarn, keeping these balls of yarn in their own little spot here. So I'm going to now stop using my stitch marker, and I'll explain why here in a second. I'm just coming up on that, and I don't want it to aid in the tangling of my little tiny strand of the yarn. So I'm going to stop using it because I actually don't need it now, because I joined row 7 to create the row of ridge in row 8, which gives me just the smallest little jog right here. It's kind of a visual thing. I can clip my stitch marker to it to make it stand out a little better, and it'll keep my stitch marker out of the way, or I can remove it completely at this point, because it's kind of easy for me to find it. Like, all I have to do is sort of like take a look at the bottom of my basket, and like I know what I'm looking for. There's my little jog, so I know that's the beginning and end of each row, so I can get rid of my stitch marker, which means that I don't have to keep it there. It won't interfere with my thread or my yarn, and I'm not concerned about counting stitches or rows at the moment. I know that every single stitch, every row has the same number of stitches. It's 56. I'm not doing any increasing or decreasing, so I don't really have to worry about the stitch marker marking the beginning and end of each row. If I crochet for a while and I'm wondering how many rows I've done, I can go back and find that start stop, or I can just, you know, count from the ridge row up. Like, here's my ridge row, and I'm working on the 3rd row of straight single crochet after that, so that would be row 11, and that'll just tell me where I am. So I don't really need the stitch marker for now, so I'm going to put it to the side just so it doesn't help tangle anything. And I'm just going to crochet around and around and around for 11 rows in total. Penny is at my feet having a little snack. If you hear random lip smacking, that's not me, it's the dog. And this is moving along a lot better now. I'm going to pause, give myself slack, And keep going. So now, because I'm working on a flat surface, this basket will start to spin around and around and around in place, which also kind of helps keep everything from, I'd like the basket to move, not the yarn. I kind of like the act of trying to handle all of those strands of yarn between my fingers. I find my other fingers kind of get in on the action. Like I end up using my baby finger for a little bit more leverage. I'm kind of swooping and grabbing all of those strands of yarns with the other fingers beneath it. And it helps kind of move things along. It also helps keep them all together. Amanda asks, Jayda, have you made an oval-based basket? I have not. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I know exactly how I would do it too. Maybe that'll be my next basket project. Oval-based. Great idea. I think that's the only shape I haven't really done yet. We've got square, round, rectangular. We've got big, small, super small. All right. Basket is starting to take shape. You can really see that post hole row, or the working around the posts of the crochet really does help. It gives you this nice flat bottom, and it gives you that foundation for the walls of the basket to sort of lean on or stand on, I suppose, in this case. So this is taking on a nice little shape. If you were going to be making this for kind of a shallow basket because you just wanted sort of something to toss your keys and your sunglasses or whatever into, then I'd say 1 or 2 more rows and that would be fine. And then you don't have to add, you know, handles. You don't have to add anything. You can just sort of leave it the way it is. It'll stand up nice and stiff, and it's a nice soft sort of place to throw things. But I'm definitely I want to use up as much of this yarn as possible. So I'm going to keep going. My aim is to go to row 20. And with any luck, I shall get there before I add some handles, because I want to do that too. The overriding color is still this thick red, which is amazing. It's just one strand, and the other 4 balls of yarn all completely disappear into it. It's really amazing how this happens. It's got a nice form. It's shaping up into a nice basket. So all things to be considered, even the little interruption where I had to unravel the thread, I like it. I think it's going to be a great use of this yarn. If you miss the odd loop, or you miss sort of the odd thread drops, don't worry, just grab it, keep going. Nothing's going to unravel on you. Deborah says, is it okay to add yarn if you run out? Absolutely. Just tie in something new to the strand that ran out. And it doesn't even matter if it's the same weight or fiber or not. So for example, I've got this, and I actually have more of it. So if I run out of this one, I'm going to tie in more. If I ran out of this one, I would just replace it with something else. And it doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The only thing, if you want to keep some kind of, you know what? It doesn't even matter. I was going to say, even if you wanted to keep some kind of concept of the same kind of color grouping happening, like attach a light to a light, attach a dark to a dark. But in a case like this, it doesn't matter. If you've got, if you run out of a ball of yarn, and you're not finished yet, you want to keep going, just find something else, tie it into the short thread, and keep on going. And leave yourself like nice long tie tails so you can just crochet right over top of them, and the knot, make the knot as tight as you possibly can. It'll totally disappear. So yeah, absolutely. If you need to tie in extra yarn, tie in yarn because you ran out, do it and keep going. Baskets can be kind of a longer project just because you're kind of wrangling all that extra yarn, but there's still something you can get done in a day. So if you've kind of got a few hours to dedicate to a basket project, you can get it done in a day. But you don't have to rush. Don't rush. Don't ever feel you need to rush. If you've got you know, deadlines are one thing, but if you're just like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do with all that discontinued yarn, all those scrappy balls I don't know what to do with. This can be that whip that you have going that you kind of warm up on. Like, oh, I've got to put in 15 minutes on that blanket, but I'm going to warm up first. I'll do a row of my discontinued yarn basket. There. I'll put all the yarns back into the middle of the basket, and I'll go back to my other work in progress. And then, you know, one row at a time, this one will get done, and you'll have another little project finished. This is coming along quite nicely now. So I segregated that one little tiny ball of super skinny yarn, and now it's not going to tangle with the other balls of yarn, which were all playing nicely. So my assumption when I got going here was that all of them seemed to want to unravel pretty neatly, so I didn't think I'd have an issue. But the little one wanted to create trouble, so I've put it to its side. It's still part of the basket, but it's just not sitting next to the other balls of yarn. That way, if anything kind of comes out of it like a little knot, I can deal with it off to the side and it won't tangle. You are welcome. Hi everybody, if you're just joining, Janet likes the basket projects. I'm so glad to hear that. Caroline says this is something she'd do while watching TV. Yes, you know what? It's not, doesn't really require your absolute attention. You can just kind of look down at it every, you know, couple of stitches and then look away. It's not really something you're going to mess up. Even if you do mess up, the mess ups don't matter because they're not really going to be visible. Mandy wants to make her own yarn bowl. Do it, do it, do it, do it. I love putting my yarn in bowls. I am not a fan of yarn bowls. The yarn bowl that has like the little hole in the side or the little like, I have one, it's really pretty. I always have it on my desk and I do use it for things. I just don't crochet out of it because I find that the yarn wants to snag on the little zippy bit. So I will use it just as a regular bowl. I kind of turn the the snaggy yarn side to the back, and then I pull from the middle. So I still use it, but I don't use it like with the yarn running through the little hole. I don't really have good luck with the yarn bowls. They're pretty, but I just use bowls. Yeah, Catherine, the skinny one wasn't playing nice, so it got sent to the corner. It's exactly what happened. The skinny one is literally in timeout. It's in its own little spot here on the desk. So I'm going to do a quick row count. Here, I think I'm just about back to my start stop, and I'm using the little tiny almost invisible jog where row 8 becomes row 9. I'm using that as my indicator to know that I've kind of completed another row. So I know that this post row was row 8, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I finished row 13, and I feel like that's a really nice depth for a hallway basket. So if this is the basket you toss your keys, your sunglasses, you know, all those little things you come in the door with sometimes that you don't know where else to put it. Currently we are at a depth of 8 centimeters or 3.5 inches. So that is the depth of the basket so far. And my aim is to go all the way up to 20 rows. So I'm at row 13. I've got 7 rows left to go. And now that I've got my balls of yarn all acting nicely, they've all been disciplined, and they're sitting doing what they're supposed to do. I might just put this one in the middle now. And now I'm able to sort of zip along a lot faster. So the basket spins on its own on the work surface. That also helps make it sort of like a quicker crochet, because all of the balls of yarn can stay stationary, and the basket itself, the project, is the thing that moves. The red ball of yarn is the one that was hand wound, so it actually is unraveling from the outside. So just having it roll around on the inside of the basket now is great. It's one less thing to try and tangle with my other yarns. And then if that one runs out, it's fine, because I've got more. There was so much of it, I had to roll it into sort of individual balls. So I will just tie that in and keep on going. So for those of you able to hang out with me while I make this, I am so glad you're here. Thank you so much for the company. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I am shocked at I'm always surprised. I always, like, whenever I pull a bunch of yarns out off the shelf and go, there, you're all going to become a basket. I always think to myself, well, I know it'll be pretty, because it doesn't matter what yarns you mix together. It always winds up being pretty. And that's why I always endeavor to find like the weirdest balls of yarn in my stash, the ugliest color combinations, the ones that I just don't know what to do with, you know, because I bought it ages ago, or somebody gave it to me. The ones that look the weirdest, the clashes, the colors that clash the most. I'm always sort of on a mission to kind of mix them all together, because I know somehow it'll all work out and look pretty, but I can never tell how. I am really genuinely surprised that this basket is so red. I know that I'm using a red sort of bulky weight yarn, but I've also got 3 balls of regular weight yarn and a ball of smaller weight yarn in the mix. So you'd think that you know, it might look a little more balanced, but nope, the red is really taking over, and I'm fine with that, because I think all these other little hints of color popping out make the red, like, I would describe this as a predominantly red basket, and it's such a pretty, it's a red with a lot of hues in it. Like, the red's got deep red, it's got a little bit of black, like, it's got a lot of different textures. the red, it's not just one solid color of red. There's a bunch of different reds in it. So yeah, this is really turning into a nice basket. I'm pleased. Catherine says it's relaxing watching me crochet. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. If I can bring some peace and relaxation to your day, that makes me feel awesome. That's another thing we don't have enough of in a day, is peace and tranquility, a little bit of calm. Vima waits to watch. Thank you, Vima. Amy's is asking what type of hook I'm using. I'm using a 9mm hook. It's also known as an M or an N, depending on the manufacturer. But as I've been saying all along, this is not really a yarn or a hook specific project. You want to use the hook that gets you the stiffest, tightest fabric. So assemble the yarns you want to use and chain 4 or 5, single crochet all the way back, and take a look at your fabric. It should be tight. It should be stiff. You shouldn't see any spaces in it. Your stitches shouldn't feel loose. If they feel loose, you need a smaller hook. If they feel too tight to manage, you need a larger hook. I found that given the yarn I'm using, this was the best hook for my tension and chosen yarn. So whichever one works best for you. And if you're wondering what kind of hook this is, this beautiful thing, it's a clover. It's a Clover Amour. It's one of the jumbo series. All of the clovers have these lovely ergonomic, different colored handles, and the jumbo sizes, of which a 9mm is considered, are all kind of like neon colors. They're just gorgeous. So very comfortable to use, which is very handy when you're, finagling this kind of yarn. Hello, Cherry. Cherry's in the house. Hello, hello. Zipping along here. This is... Geez, you move so much faster when your yarn isn't tangled. This one I'm slowly getting to the end of. If you have to take off, like Crocus, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me while I untangled yarn and did some crochet. And have a great rest of your day. And if you're going to hang out a little longer, wonderful. I'm happy to have your company. Remember that this will be an available stream to watch later if you want to watch the replay. And I promise I will put in chapters so that if you need to zip past the long untangling section, or if you just want to watch the untangling section, then that will be easy to find in the chapter. If you're looking for the chapters on a video, not all videos have them, but if you look for the chapters on a video, you just sort of mouse or wand over top of the video player itself, and like you'll see the line at the bottom will be interrupted, and each little chunk will have like a title. Those are chapters. So if you click sort of somewhere near the beginning or the end of one, that's how you fast forward through the chapters. Great way to find what you're looking for in a particular video. I love that they introduce chapters. Cherry's coffee maker quit. Well, I'd be having a gigantic table flip moment if my coffee maker quit. I don't think I'd be able to face the day, Cherry. So the fact that you're here and you're sane is a testament to your mental state. The whole universe would come to a grinding halt for me. I'd be like, I'm sorry, what? The coffee maker's broken? Well, must fix now. I will take a quick count. I think I've done a couple more rows since I counted last. I just noticed that I'm coming up on my start again. So I'm just going to take a quick pause and count my rows up. There we go. And let's see here. So my ridge row, my post hole row, I shouldn't say post hole, post stitch row was 8, which makes this 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've done 15 rows. I've got 5 more rows left to go before I start adding basket handles. So I want to put in built-in handles on this basket because I love built-in handles. They're so easy to add to a basket pattern, and handles make it easy to grab and pull around, lift up, carry. If you've got little kids or even dogs, it gives them something to grab. Baskets are really great for kids. It teaches them how to clean up after themselves. They can put their toys away in something, you know, that's open. It doesn't make cleanup difficult. And I use one of these baskets for Penny's toys. She keeps them all in a basket. It's really cute. We'll clean up, put all of her toys away, and then, you know, she'll go nose around in her basket and pull out a toy that she wants to play with. She hasn't figured out how to put toys away yet, but she knows how to get them out of the basket. Catherine's concerned that I'm losing the skinny yarn. So like I said, if the yarn misses a stitch, like I've got it here, don't worry about it, because you just pick it up and keep on going. Your stitches won't unravel. The stitches that use that yarn won't unravel. So if you drop a yarn, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Grab it and keep going. As soon as you notice, just grab it, keep going. Cherry's worried that it would be hurting my hands. You know what? It's a little, like I'm feeling a little bit of tension like through here because that's where that part of my hand is working really hard. But to be perfectly honest, I'm trying to keep most of the tension in the hook. So I used a hook that I knew would be able to keep my stitches tight together without me having to really yank on the yarn too hard. So far this is actually coming together quite nicely, and no, it's not giving me any trouble. Becky's in the house with a membership milestone. Thank you, Becky. Becky has been a member for 14 months. Becky says, baskets are the best. Thank you, Jayda and Mr. InStitches. Well, thank you, Becky. I agree. Baskets are one of the best projects. They're fun to make. They're pretty. They're useful. They're a great way to use up scraps, discontinued yarn, odd balls. Just, you know, and the best of all, they're not a pattern you have to take seriously. If you mess up the stitch count, it's okay. It'll still be a pretty basket. If you drop some stitches, it's okay. It'll still be a pretty basket. If you have to tie in more yarn, change colors, change textures, change fibers, it's okay. It'll still be a pretty basket. If you have to change your hook halfway through because it's just too big or too small, it's okay. It'll still be a pretty basket. So that's why baskets are great. This is going to go immediately to work in my room. I'm really feeling like apples harvest. Like this is just so much prettier than I thought it was going to be. I knew it would be pretty. I didn't think it would be this pretty. I certainly didn't think it would be that the red would have this much to say. So really pleased with the way this is turning out. And I'm able to zip along. I'll be tying in more red yarn here momentarily because I'm getting to the end of this one little ball. I just happen to have a lot of this red yarn. Mama InStitches gave it to me. She didn't really know what to do with it. Actually, no, I'm sorry. She didn't give me this one. She gave me another pile of red. I have this red. And I had a lot of it. So there we go. I'm going to unwind that. There's the end. Here's the other ball of yarn. All the same stuff. But even if it wasn't, it's okay. So this is how I knot in. I'm going to give you a bit of a visual. I take the ends, I hold them together, and I just make like a granny knot. Make a loop, pull the ends through the loop, and make it as tight as I can make it. And then I leave the tails long so I can work over top of them. The more yarn you can handle, so if you can handle more than 3 strands, I say at least 3 strands, but to be fair, if you're using 2 really super bulky weight yarns, then you only need 2. But if you can handle at least three of regular weights, if you can handle more, then put in as many as you can, because it will just make the basket grow faster, and that's fun. All right, I want to hold these to the side. I'm going to work over, those are the tails, I'm going to work over top of them. Cherry with a membership milestone. Thank you, Cherry. Cherry's been a member for 63 months. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Cherry. Cherry says, thanks, Jayda, for all the videos. Happy birthday month, too. And I can't quite see the end of it, so I will wait till that moves a little bit. But happy birthday month to everybody who was born in September. This is a beautiful time of year. Happy birthday month to me, says Cherry. Cherry B, happy birthday. And knot disappears, tails disappear, and I'm just smoking along with my newly tied in yarn. So if you were wondering, that's how you tie it in, and done. And no, it doesn't have to be the same yarn. I just happen to have more of the same, and I'm trying to use it up. Okay. So where is my start? Looks like it's over here. I'm letting the basket move around in a circle on the desk, and that is keeping my balls of yarn from having to move around. They are not tangling at all, which is lovely. And the little one in timeout here to the side is doing quite nicely now that it's on its own. So Sandra says the raccoon story is hilarious. Yes, that will get its own chapter in today's live stream once I add chapters. It was cute for 2 seconds before it came crashing into the kitchen, but luckily not a lot of damage. So I love raccoons. I mean, an animal has to work really hard for me not to like it, even if it's, you know, accidentally finds itself in my kitchen. But it left just as quickly as it arrived, so. Congratulations to your niece, Catherine. I'm just coming around to the start stop spot, so I will do a double check on the counts. Okay, back to the start stop. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I've got 2 more rows to go, and then it's going to be basket handles. This is a marathon live stream today, but hey, it's a Monday in September. We are back to the books. We are back to our hooks. It is always a nice opportunity to organize and straighten up and make sense of, you know, after the lovely weather and maybe the weekends, the vacations, the staycations that we hopefully had a chance to get in the nice weather of the summer. You know, it's kind of back to reality. We want to straighten things up, organize a little bit. I'm still painting furniture. I painted a little shelving unit that I have here in the craft room, so I'll be moving that around, shuffling around some of the stuff that was on it in an effort to freshen everything up. This is definitely going to be a nice depth for a basket. It's going to get a little deeper. We're going to put the handles on. We're going to build them in. So the edges, the walls are going to get a little taller. But like I said earlier, you can make this basket as shallow with as few rows or as tall with as many rows as you want. It really is just dependent on your tastes and how much yarn you've got to use up. Don calls this a yarn muncher. I like that. Yes, baskets are definitely yarn munchers, and let them be. You know, sometimes you really want your yarn to stretch out, and sometimes you've got yarn you want to use up. But you know what? It's funny. It's like you've got yarn, you don't really want to part with it, you don't really want to use it, you don't really know how you would use it, but you feel kind of bad just giving it away or donating it. Sometimes you've got stuff that you don't mind donating because you're like, yeah, I don't want to work with that. I don't want to look at it anymore, whatever the case. But if you've got a bunch of oddballs that are nice, you don't really want to get rid of them, then one of these kinds of baskets, perfect use. Perfect use. How did the barn quilt turn out, says Catherine. I haven't got it made yet. I'm still mulling over the pattern. So if any of you watched everything I made on staycation, I sort of showed a little sort of painted sampler of a barn quilt idea. I really wanted to make like a sunflower or flower based barn quilt, and I made a little sample painting of it, but I'm still not entirely convinced that that's the design I want, so I've sort of shelved that idea while I do a little bit of, I get to a few of the other things on the to-do list, and I'm kind of still mulling it over. I tend to spend a little time every day kind of looking at different patchwork designs, you know, 10 or 15, and then I kind of just let my brain mull it over. I figure I'll either find one eventually that I think is perfect, or I'll make something that's kind of a combination of a couple of different patterns that I like. But I'm leaning towards pinwheels. I'm thinking I might do one that's mostly pinwheel based, and I'm trying to decide if I can figure out a way to make it look like, just by using the paint, to make it look a little bit more flowery. Still figuring it out. I think I've got one more row to go here, and then we'll be on to the basket handles. If you get to a point as you're making this basket and one of your yarns runs out and you really don't have anything to replace it with, all you would do is, if let's say you have like this much yarn left, pull up on that yarn's loop. So for example, let's say this is the yarn that it's running out. I would pull up on that loop, pull it through, pull it tight, and then go back to crocheting with the rest of my yarns. That way you've sort of fastened off that yarn if you're not intending to just add anything to it, and you can just sort of finish off the basket with whatever's left. You can go down a hook size if you need to keep that tight tension going. Or you can just tie in another ball of yarn if you've got it. But if you don't have any more yarn to tie in, just fasten off that specific strand and then keep crocheting. Just crochet right over top of the tail with whatever's left. And if you need to go down a hook size to maintain a tight tension, then go down a hook size. It's okay. Now let's see, where's that start stop? There's the start stop. So I'm on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm on row 19. I've got one more row to go. So it's funny, a basket looks shallow, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. Does that make sense? Like it looks like it's a shallow basket, and then all of a sudden it looks tall. I might push that out to the side again. When it gets to be a little taller, you can also manipulate it a little more. You can sort of flatten it and work sort of, you can keep it spinning this way if you want, or you can kind of flatten it and work flat like this for a while. Sort of change things up a bit. And it'll keep kind of going in a circle. It'll just be like flat. This might be a little easier to see my stitches too if I do this. That's my, is that my start stop? That's my start stop. All right. I think it is easier to just work it in the round. I find when I'm working on something large like a blanket, it continues to grow and get bigger. You kind of have to change how you hold it, how you fold it, where it sits on your lap. It's the same thing with anything that grows. This is a basket that is growing in height, so it, you know, might be easier to work with it like this. It might be easier to sort of lean it over and work with it flat like I was just doing. Here, I'm back to my start stop. So I'm just going to double check that I only have one more row to go. I think I'm on row 19, or I've just completed row 19. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yes. All right. One more row to go of a single crochet in every single stitch. That's still 56 stitches. And then we're going to put on the basket handles. So we are getting close to the end of this little basket project. Even with the detangling, you know, if you don't have to stop and detangle your yarn for 20 minutes or however long that was, then you can kind of assume that this is maybe like a 2.5 hour project, 2-hour project if you're really quick. So that's nice to keep in mind. Oh, that's if you crochet quickly. If you don't and you just want to take your time, well then, however long it needs to be. There's no time limit on a project like this. I might run out of that one little strand of lighter variegated yarn, so I'm just debating whether or not I'm going to tie anything in its place, or if I'm just going to like fasten it off. I'm not sure. See how far I get. This is what they call slow TV. You're slowly watching an actual project be made stitch by stitch. It's kind of nice. It's nice to, it's both are nice. It's fun to see something come together quickly. Like I absolutely love before and after remodeling and redecorating videos. You know, they show you the before, they kind of zip through the process, and then they show you the after. I really love those. But I also just like to sit and watch something come together. Depends on the mood I'm in, I suppose. I like the size of this basket. I like the height of it. I think it'll fit nicely in one of my little cubby shelves, if I choose to use it there. I might just end up keeping it in the craft room. Not sure. I'm getting near the end of row 20 here, and then it'll be basket handle time. Donna. Thank you. Yes, if you're just tuning in, welcome. I'm making a discontinued yarn basket. I will be adding chapters to this live stream once it's finished. So if you are coming back, need to leave and come back, or are tuning in later, you can sort of zip through at your convenience to the part of the project that you want to see. One of the things I love about chapters. So look forward to that this afternoon. Okay, a couple more stitches. I'm back to the start. And I'm pretty sure that is the end of row 20. Just going to double check by counting. So once again, row 8 was my post row. That was row 8. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have completed 20 rows. That is nice and deep. Let's quickly pause and measure the depth of this basket. It is 17 centimeters, or almost 7 inches tall so far. Very nice. Let's do some handles. So we're going to put built-in handles in this so it's easy to kind of grip from the side. Here we go. Row 21, basket handle row. I should probably be able to get, I've got just running out of this, but I'll probably have enough to do at least this row. We are going to chain 8. So right from where we are, chain 8. There's 8. You're going to skip 8 stitches and then single crochet into the next stitch, which would be the 9th stitch. There we go. So that is the break for our basket handle made. So that's chain 8, skip 8, single crochet into the next stitch, and now we're going to single crochet. So you single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next 20 stitches. All right, that's 20 stitches, 21 in particular. And also the other thing you can do is sort of like make sure that you're roughly opposite where your other handle is. And then we do exactly the same thing we did for the first handle. Goodness me. Cher, thank you for picking up a pattern. Chain 8. Skip 8. And single crochet into the next stitch. And that gives you the foundation for your second basket handle. Ba-ba. It'll be right opposite the first basket handle. And now you single crochet in each remaining stitch back to the first stitch that became your basket handle. That'll be the beginning of the row. That'll be row 21, which is establishing the basket handles. keep things nice and tight. I'm trying to keep my stitching as tight as I possibly can, which is made made easier with the ergonomic hook. So if you think you'll be doing a lot of projects where you need a bigger hook, then I recommend investing in the ergonomic ones. And in particular, I'm using Clover. They do not support the show. Wish they did, but they are my favorite hooks. They are so comfortable and easy to use. So I highly recommend Clover. And no, I've never been paid to say that. All right, I am all the way back to my first stitch, which would have been the chain that began the row, because that's where I started my basket handles. This is coming along lace. I still have some of that yarn left, so I don't need to worry about fastening it off just yet. And don't need any knots now, so I'm just going to make sure I've got my slack. Okay. Row 22, we're going to single crochet in every single stitch all the way around, including the chains. So you've got 8 stitches or 8 chains here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to make sure I get a single crochet into each of those 8 chains. There's the 8th one. Very good. Single crochet into each of the next 21 stitches, and that'll bring you up to the other basket handle, and you're going to single crochet across those 8 chains in the second basket handle, and then all the way back to the beginning again. I've got yarn is starting to want to move around because I'm nearing the end of the skeins of all of them, so we're going to see just how far. Ideally, I want to do 2 more rows on top of this so that I have nice heavy, but you know what? I might not need it. That's a nice heavy duty looking handle. So I'll leave that up to you. If you want at least 1 more row. So once you do the basket handle row where you create the handles, you want to do at least row 22, which is this row where you single crochet in each stitch all the way around, including the each chain from the basket handles. You definitely want to make sure you do that, because you give them, it's how you make your handles look nice and sturdy. So you definitely want to do at least 1 more row, but if you want to call it there, you can call it there. If you want to do more, then feel free to do that. So I'm going to flatten this again so you can sort of see what I'm doing. I think I'm going to play a little bit of yarn chicken with this 1 ball of yarn, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have enough to finish this row at least. I will not be working in another ball. So if this ball of yarn goes on me, look at this, it's thinking it wants to, it's thinking it's threatening to tangle. Oh no, you don't. Oh no, you don't. Nope, no tangling. Not this time, yarn, not this time. I think I'm going to have enough to finish this row, and if I do another row and it finishes itself, then I won't be tying in anything extra because I don't see the point. Excuse me. All right. I want to get, will I treat that as the chain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'll treat that as the chain. Okay. So I'm back at the second handle. I'm going to single crochet in each of those 8 chains. Goodness me, Maria, thank you for picking up a basket pattern. That reminds me, guys, the 5 most useful basket patterns, and by useful I mean where you can really use up your yarn. You can use this sort of approach where you're using scraps or discontinued balls of yarn. All 5 of those are in the description box down below, the tutorials, and we've got the patterns on sale in the Etsy shop. So sneaky sale today and tomorrow. And thank you so much for picking up a pattern. We appreciate the support. And making sure I get the 8 chains here. There we go. That's my second basket handle. And now single crochet back to the beginning. And you know, I'm thinking this might be it. I recommend doing this row and then sort of standing back and looking at your work and going, do I want my basket handles to be thicker? Do I want my basket to be any taller? Like, that's a pretty nice thickness. I don't know. I'm going to finish the row. Again, if you drop a strand of yarn, don't fret, just pick it up and keep going. Nothing's going to unravel on you. I'm a few stitches away from being back at the beginning. There we go. That looks like it. Mila, thank you for picking up a pattern. Thank you so much. Okay, that is 22 rows in total. Those are my basket handles. I think that looks pretty nice. If I did an extra row, they would just be a little bit thicker, but do I do another row? You know what? I have this much left over, and I feel like it would be a bummer to just let it live on my shelf any longer, especially in that length. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to continue to single crochet. I'm going to get into row 23 here. I'm going to crochet in every single stitch all the way around, and I'm going to see if that runs out. So I am going to do an extra row. Why not? It'll make my handles a little thicker and a little stronger. It'll make the sides of the basket a little taller. And darn it, I want to get rid of this discontinued yarn. So let's go. Speed row, row 23. You can add another row if you want. If you want to call it at row 22, then just fasten off all lengths. Again, you're treating all lengths held together as a single strand. So fasten them all off. Weave in your tails. Like, you can slip stitch to join the row. You can add several slip stitches if you want to even things out. Finishing off a basket is kind of a, you know, whatever looks good. I think I'm going to try and use up this. I'm sick of looking at this ball of yarn on my, it's like so mismatched. Doesn't go with anything else I have. It's totally discontinued. I don't remember how I got it in the first place. It's probably another one from my grandmother's stash. Ooh, it's almost done. Made pretty good headway on this red one too. I'm going to stick that in there and keep it out of the way. All right, I'm nearing around second basket handle. This is definitely a nice stiff basket fabric. I'm really pleased with that. Again, tight tension is the key. People ask me all the time, you know, what's the trick? Stiffness, tension. So if you need to get tension by using a smaller hook for tighter stitches, use a smaller hook. If you need to get tension by working in another ball of yarn to make things tighter and stiffer, work in another ball of yarn. There's no limit on the number of strands you can use. I've done a little bit of all of it. I've used different sized hooks. I've used, you know, different numbers of balls of yarn. It all works. you're concerned that the top of your basket needs a little bit of extra stiffening, you can work a row of slip stitch all the way around. Slip stitch is, oh, what did I do there? Slip stitch is a nice way to tighten up the edge of a basket, give it a little bit more strength. It also looks nice. So feel free to add a row of slip stitch all the way around. Okay, I am back to the beginning. That is the end of row 23. Like I said, if you wanted to slip stitch, and can you believe I still have some of this ball of yarn? This is what I mean. So slip stitch to join for sure. So just slip stitch to join. That's your last stitch. If you want to use up, say you've got some strands or you want to make the top of your basket a little stiffer, you can slip stitch all the way around for another row or just until your yarn runs out. Again, this is a super scrap basket. You do not need to concern yourself with the right number of stitches or the correct number of rows or any of that stuff. If you want the top of your basket to be stronger, then you can slip stitch all the way around it. So I'm just going to slip stitch here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to slip stitch until this one ball of yarn completely is used up. So I don't want even a little bit of it left over. So I'm just slip stitching into every single stitch. Now slip stitches tend to be tighter by nature, which is another reason it's a good thing to run around the top of your basket, because the top of your basket being tightly stitched will help with keep it upright. It'll help, it won't want to collapse on you. So it's another nice little trick to keeping your basket walls from sagging. Plus it looks nice. It's almost used up. Okay, there's the tail. I'm getting close to the end. So before it's completely run out, like about here, I'm going to pull up on my loops and grab that tail, and I'm going to fasten off this one yarn. So that's it. I'm going to pull it through there. I'm going to put all of my loops back on my hook. Make sure I get them all. So that's the 4 of them. Then I'm going to really pull that tightly, and then I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to crochet over top of it with the rest of them. So I am slip stitching and you can also just weave it in. I'm just kind of crocheting over top of it. There. I'm going to weave in the rest later. I'm going to continue. I'm just going to finish. You know what? Who cares if it gets pulled into it? It doesn't matter. I'll weave it in later. I'm just going to finish this row of slip stitching because I started it. Might as well finish it. And use up as much of those leftover yarn as possible. So I completely used up one ball. Great. I've used most of the rest of these. That makes me feel pretty good. I'm down to like 4 little strands. I'm still crocheting as tightly as I can. A row of very tight slip stitching around the top of this basket will help it stand upright, which is exactly what I want. And that is row 24, a row of slip stitch. And I am back to the beginning. So I'm going to stick that in underneath that first slip stitch I made. And now snip all threads. So I'm going to give myself quite a bit. There we go. And this guy and the small one. So I ate up quite a bit of yarn. Amazingly, I still have some yarn left over. Pull it all through. There we go. I'm going to pull it to the inside of the basket. So I'm going to grab all the strands that I have left. And if you have to do this one at a time, that's fine. Through to the inside. There we go. And then weave them in. And don't worry about, this is so tight, you may only have to go in one direction. Don't worry about getting under every single loop. So I'm going to try and get all 4 of these through here. Missed one. Missed 2. Okay. There we go. That is tight. Woohoo! For those of you who stuck around, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I built an entire basket from scratch today. This is a discontinued yarn basket. Our handy basket patterns and tutorials are in the description box down below. So if you want to make any of our other basket patterns using the same technique, using a bunch of like discontinued yarns, go for it. All of the ones shown will work. You can pick up any of those patterns. They're on sale in our Etsy shop. So if you do want to pick up a pattern, thank you so much. And I'm going to post some information in a post a little later today, just to kind of show you guys the finished project. I'm going to add chapters to this live stream. Oops, I just broke my needle. How do you like that? That's a first. I'm going to add some chapters to this so that if you come back and you need to sort of see a few things and you want to like just jump ahead to a certain row, that is the first time I've broken one of those, just to show you. That took a lot of beating. In fact, I'm going to call it there. So that can go into the scrap basket for stuffing. Okay. Let's do a little bit of shaping here. Thank you everybody for hanging out. I will take a good picture of this and show it to you in the posts tab a little later so you can sort of see it without it being so close up on the screen. But we've got 2 built-in handles. It's got a nice row of finishing single or slip stitch all the way around to make it nice and tight and stiff at the top. I absolutely love the way this color worked out with all of those mismatched balls of yarn. It's got a nice flat bottom, and let's take a final measurement here. We are, let's see, 22 centimeters tall, or 8 3/4 inches tall, and roughly, now the bottom's going to be a little bit smaller than the final circumference, but 8.5 inches in circumference, 23 centimeters in circumference, or diameter, I should say, diameter. So there we go. A nice sized basket, a great way to use up some discontinued yarn. I think it turned out really well, and I've got another useful basket here. Sharon, thank you for picking up a pattern. I am going to write up today's pattern specifically, and it'll be available in the Etsy shop a little later too. So if you really like the way this one turned out specifically, I'll have a pattern that uses photographs and whatnot from it. And I'll be a little more specific about the yarns I used and why it worked out the way it did. So you can take a look at that if you're interested later. And thank you so much for your support. Keep an eye on the posts tab. I've got information coming a little later. I'll have a family post a little later today as well. This was a marathon basket building live stream. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your company and attention today. I'll add the chapters so you can pop back in and see whatever you need to without having to sit through a bunch of yarn detangling if you don't want to. And we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe and crafty, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.